right, everybody, no gags today because this is the beginning of a new show. Welcome to Horror Hole. I'm Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as will be always, as my co-host?
I'm not some crackhead. I'm the crackhead, Cody Briscoe.
That did make me laugh. And then we're going to be talking about our very first episode. A weird one. We're not talking about freaking, we're not talking about a normal movie that everybody has seen. We're talking about a movie that came out like 2 years ago. And it's Barbarian.
Yes.
And when you suggested this movie, I was like, I kind of like vaguely know what that is, but I wasn't entirely aware of what it was and what the director and everything, Zach Kreger. And as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. Like, this is a really good premise for a movie. Because I was sort of playing like 4D chess in my head, being like, I think I know like where this is going and that this is kind of like misdirection, but I'm just very engaged either way. But yeah, so I mean, I guess before we get into the discussion full, I just want to establish, yes, we're just doing a podcast. It's me and Cody talking about horror movies or thrillers or whatever, any movie where like people are scared and in distress.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah, doing that. Cody, you wanted to do that as a review show on your YouTube channel for a while.
Yeah, I just never found the time.
Yes. So maybe these episodes, since I post Cartoon Buffoons on my YouTube channel, maybe these episodes can be posted on your YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
Just to like direct more attention there. And then basically fulfill the 7-year prophecy of like you wanting to do that. But this is a great first pick. What was the reason why you wanted us to watch this movie first?
So I picked Barbarian because, one, there are a lot of horror movies that came out specifically in 2022. Like, that was a great year for horror movies, and there's a bunch of them that kind of passed me by and that I never saw. And I wanted to pick Barbarian because that's a movie that I only knew the vaguest premise of it, and I've always been told, hey, go in blind with this movie. Don't look up anything relating to it. So I wanted to do that. And I also
I'm glad I did as well. Yeah.
And I picked it as well because the people that made this movie have a new movie coming out at the end of the month called Companion, which is like kind of a similar thing where people are saying go in blind and just expect something crazy. So kind of to prep me for that and to finally watch this movie that I've heard really good things about, I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity to start out with this.
I thought it was pretty funny that like we discussed that we wanted to do this movie like a week or two ago. And then after that point, like sometime last week or maybe the week before, there was a news story that was like Zach Kreger is in talks to do like a reboot to the Resident Evil film franchise.
Really?
And I was like, that's weird. And then I saw I was like, oh, Barbarian director. I was like, oh, that's like convenient. And then I went into the movie thinking like, could he do it? Like, could he do a good Resident Evil film that isn't a stupid, like, 2000s action movie like the other ones were?
I think he could.
And then as soon as she started to, like, explore the basement and, like, open secret doors and do things like that, I was like, he's got it. Yeah. He can do it.
Do you know who Zach Kreger is?
I do not.
So,
this and that news story are my only exposure to who he is.
So, Zach Kreger is one of the founding members of the comedy troupe Whitest Kids You Know.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
Yeah. Another comedy person breaking into horror and just hitting it out of the park. It's been happening a lot lately.
It's so they are way closer than I think people. That's why the like 2-sentence horror thing is so funny, is because it's always set up punchline and then it's just like, yeah. But anyway, that is great. This movie, like the elevator pitch, I'm glad I didn't even know that, but I feel like if you just told somebody like it's a horror movie where a lady is double booked with Bill Skarsgård and Airbnb, you're like, all right. I'm like, this is gonna be creepy.
Okay.
You know, it's gonna be fucked up.
Mm-hmm. We'll touch on Bill Skarsgård later because I love him in this.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but yeah, go ahead.
Do we want to just jump right into it, or do you have any?
No, I mean, I think I got all my like. Again, I guess I'll just say, if you are interested in this, and I'll probably like put a post on the Patreon or whatever like before this episode comes up, so that people can watch along if they haven't. But if you haven't watched and you're listening to this, don't watch the movie or don't listen to this podcast until you have watched the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if you don't care, go ahead. But if you are interested, I urge you to go and watch the movie first. It's on Hulu. I will say, the watching it with ads does suck because it does deplete some of the tension. But there was one point, like halfway through the movie, where I thought an ad began, but it actually was an intentional like flip of tone. So, but yeah, we'll get into that.
Before I jump in as well, I guess trigger warning. There is some subject matter in this movie that I was not aware is like the core of the movie. So yeah, there's some sexual assault is part of the fabric of this movie, but it's not done in a way that feels tasteless or cheap. It's like part of what the movie is about. It's not like for shock value.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah, we can get into that for sure. I don't know, like, so you want to we could just like do the going through it.
I kind of want to because
just because that's like the movie unravels that way. So
the best part of this movie for me is the plot and how it progresses because it's just so different. Yeah, it reminds me of like Psycho almost because it's because I was thinking with this, it is a lot like Psycho actually, but because it like changes. But I was thinking with the show to like that we didn't have to do that, but then this movie is like perfect for that structure of just like going through it. So I think we'll do it, but this one calls for it. I think.
Yeah. Yes.
So we start out. We're introduced to Tess, this young woman. She's driving at night. They're in Detroit, right? Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she shows up at an Airbnb, and she has some trouble getting in, but eventually she does, and she's double booked with this guy Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård. I think a very specific casting choice because, not to make fun of the dude, but Bill Skarsgård has a very distinct face. And
yes, Bill Skarsgård, he looks like a horror movie monster guy because he's played Pennywise and Nosferatu, which just came out at the time of us recording. So I have not seen it, but
great movie.
Maybe I think we'll talk about it at some point on this podcast, probably.
I think casting him was like a case of like playing with the audience's expectations for the kind of character that he usually plays because. They kind of work out and figure out, okay, it's the owner's fault that we ended up double booked, and Keith is trying everything he can to be friendly and accommodating to her, but the way he interacts with Tess is like just a bunch of little red flags that make women nervous, essentially. Like he is well-meaning, but just his actions like kind of have you on edge. I literally. This whole segment of the movie, I had to keep pausing it every couple minutes and like walking away from the screen because I was like, it felt like watching fucking The Rehearsal, like a Nathan Fielder project. Just their interactions are so awkward.
Yeah, it's very awkward, and like you said, so many red flags, so many like little things of like, girl, get the fuck out of there, like. You're just thinking that to the point where I'm like, I am so shocked that a male director was the one who created this because it's like, but I think that it's like, he must be like very perceptive to a lot of these things, just like it in life and whatever. So because like a lot of these things, like, in any other situation, it would be like completely neutral or innocent or anything, but like, everything about it is just made to make you as uncomfortable and like, where is this going? What is fucking going to happen? And like I said, I sort of like was trying to outsmart the movie already and be like, okay, I think I'm like pretty confident this guy is just a normal guy and he's just like an awkward guy because I have been there before. But I'm also just like, all right, let me let the movie take me on this ride rather than trying to like outsmart it. So,
and what a ride it is. So they do eventually they have a conversation about Tess's career. She's in town for a job interview, and was it like she was like a researcher for a documentarian or something like that?
Yeah.
So she worked for a documentarian about jazz musician, and then they kind of bond because by sheer happenstance, Keith is a founding member of a jazz troupe that she is a fan of. He has a line that I noted down a lot of lines of dialogue for this. Where he's talking about, I understand why you're nervous because there are a lot of bad dudes out there. But I think is a codifier for just the whole movie because there's
yes.
We'll touch on it, but there's an escalation of bad men that we are introduced to.
Yeah, it's like power scaling with bad. It's like Dragon Ball Z, but bad guy, like awkward kind of dude is the first level where it's like, all right, he's not actually any harm, but you're just on edge around him and he looks weird. So it's like the fight or flight instinct is like kicking in,
So she goes to the job interview, and then when she comes back, like a homeless person is chasing after her, is going, little girl, don't go in the house. He keeps calling her little girl specifically. So she runs into the house, and my thought was, okay, I can see him coming back because I think he was being earnest. He wasn't just creepy.
Yes. Yeah. It was an omen, of what was to come.
She ends up locked in the basement, and then while trying to figure out a way out, she finds a rope like leading out of the wall, and she pulls on it, and she walks down and she finds this little room that has nothing but a filthy mattress, a bucket, and a camera pointed at the mattress. And as soon as I saw that fucking room, I literally got chills. I was like, oh fuck no.
I was like, because Secret Door, I'm like, oh cool. Again, this is the male brain, and also again, I was thinking of Resident Evil. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is the scariest thing I would ever see in my entire life. If I walked in.
My first thought, though, was the clip from Smiling Friends where they find the century eggs room and they go, secret room.
Yeah.
So, very smartly, Tess immediately says, nope. And thankfully, Keith, he gets back home for whatever he was doing. Oh, he was looking for like new spaces for his band because they were thinking of moving to Detroit for some fucking reason. Keith gets her out and he goes to investigate.
Damn.
What?
It's just funny. You're like so upset about Detroit.
I'm not going to.
I mean that's the thing. I love the way like at the beginning of the movie she arrives at the Airbnb and it's like this nice, cute house, this very like gentrified white people house, and then as soon as it's the morning and you see what the neighborhood looks like in the light of day, it's like what the
it looks like post-apocalyptic because I love that she gets there during the nighttime so you don't really see what the rest of the houses look like.
And then it just makes me think, imagine being somebody who lives in the neighborhood that the barbarian neighborhood is. Right? Like imagine like it's like, oh, what kind of movie? Well, it's like this we're trying to make a movie about like this desolate like, no hope, like as terrifying as possible neighborhood, to like, these like more upper class white people, coming in and everything, and they're like, oh. Okay, well, sure.
I guess. So Tess is freaking out. Keith is he's trying to calm her down, but also he's trying to stop her from leaving. He keeps like, no, Tess, wait. As he gets closer to the door, he says, hey, I'll check out this basement, but can you stay just in case I get locked in? She agrees. He goes in, and you don't really hear from him. So Tess, total horror movie character move, decides to go investigate. go deeper into this tunnel, because it goes way deeper than just that first room, as we call it.
Yeah, there's another more secret door that leads into like a concrete bunker area, like a raid shelter or something like that from like nuclear apocalypse or something.
My first thought when I saw this is I thought it's like Joseph Fritzl, if you know who that guy is.
Yeah, okay. I do.
Yeah, so it reminded me of that. I thank God you do, because I do not want to explain that.
I think that is literally like, I didn't remember his name until you said it, but like I was like, it's like that guy. Yeah. Like that's what's going on here. And then as soon as we'll get into it.
So there's a great shot
continue.
Because it's lit by like her phone flashlight, so you don't really see a lot of light. And then out of the darkness, Keith like comes crawling towards her, and that's a great jump scare. And he's like,
"Oh yeah,
we need to get the fuck out of here." And he's not really making sense, and they're talking, and then out of fucking nowhere, this giant naked gangly like 8-foot tall woman comes running up to Keith, grabs him by the neck, and starts smashing his fucking head against the wall until it explodes, basically.
Yeah.
And then the movie cuts to black, and I'm assuming that's where you thought the Hulu ad was coming in.
Yes. Yep. And then as soon as it was like a car on like a beach side and everything, like highway, I was like, oh, is this a Hulu ad? And then when I realized that, I saw Justin Long and I realized it was like the next part of the movie, I started laughing my ass off because I'm like, what the fuck is this movie?
It completely turns left. Absolutely. We're introduced to AJ, who is an actor. He gets a phone call while he's driving that says that one of his co-stars is accusing him of raping her. So it's like I think this probably would have been made like, around the time of like the Me Too movement happening. I love that is another element of this story, because it is like just all kinds of different aspects of how men take advantage of women.
Yes, because she wouldn't like Tess, the first main character, wouldn't be acting so on edge if it weren't for the violence that men inflict on women, And
there's a great
go ahead.
Sorry. There's a great conversation that Keith and Tess have. I guess I brushed over it, where she talks about how like men are able to just kind of blunder through life and leaving messes behind them, whereas women have to be more cautious because they don't want to get murdered, essentially. Yeah, so
and saying that like if the situation was reversed, she would have never let him in. Like she would have never even considered being deferring to that, whereas like she was like forced in this position essentially through like politeness and like, I don't want to piss this guy off, he could kill me, like I don't know what his intentions are, that kind of thing. Like every single thing, we talked about it being like a series of red flags, but it is like an excruciating like 20 minutes of the beginning of the movie. It's just like one after another of like, no, dude, why? Why are you doing this?
So his name's AJ. So Justin Long, he does not take the news well. He's being fired from whatever pilot. I can't remember the name of the pilot, but it was something funny. It was really a sitcom, I think.
Yeah.
So I was very confused, and he goes to talk to like his accountant or whatever, and he's talking about more ways he can find money, and he mentions his Michigan properties. So it's like, oh, he owns the fucking house on Barbary Street.
Yep.
He is advised not to call the co-star that has accused him. He returns to the house and he finds all of Keith and Tess's belongings are still there. He's talking to like the Airbnb staff, and they say, "Oh, nobody's rented the house for a couple of weeks," so that sets up the time frame.
And I will say, regardless of like him as a character, like whether I think he's a good guy or not, which we'll get into momentarily, very relatable calling like a helpline and just being like so mad because they just won't fucking help with the actual issue because they can't actually help you. So it's like, so him getting like very frustrated and like, you know, breaking politeness and just like swearing on the line. Like, I know that that's to paint him in the light of like, oh, here's this guy that really is so like abusive with his power, essentially. Like, he has like this sort of like air of like, everything belongs to me and everything is like, you know, and anything that goes wrong in my life is like, people are like out to get me, you know, whatever.
You get the feeling
like,
he's like,
I think it's, yeah. Well, I was just saying, I like that when he gets into the house and he's investigating, he's just like annoyed by all the like signs of life, but missing people. There's nothing in his mind that's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Or this is in the basement door being propped open, he just like incuriously closes it.
There's
like that's great. And then when he like goes, like when he decides to like check out the basement.
Oh god, this is so funny.
Sees like, and then sees like this like big complex behind everything. Instead of being freaked out by it, he's immediately like, whoa, how much more square footage could I add to the like the fucking Indeed listing or whatever, the Zillow listing, and then get more money from
there's a great
this property.
It's so funny. He's on his laptop and he's like looking up, you know, can I list extra basement square footage? And they're kind of like, maybe not. But then another listing is like, you can't list it on the total square footage. And he goes, oh hell yeah, bitch, like that. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, but before that, there is a really great scene with him like going out to drink with a friend that like
a local friend.
Like, yeah. So like right before that, he's like talking with his mom. Everything up to this point, it seems like he's genuinely like, he's an asshole, but he seems like he's genuinely caught off guard by like these accusations and everything. And he like doesn't even understand like where they're coming from and like why this would be happening to him. And like, that's the trick that this movie is playing on you, is that it's like you are complicit in this by assuming
that
like 100% like, oh yeah, it must have been a mistake. You know, like right off the bat, like that's your at least for me, like that was my first you know, assumption, even though like I knew he was like an asshole, and I had the idea of like, it probably will pull this twist, you know, later. But the first thing I thought was like, oh yeah, that would suck if that happened to me. It wasn't like, oh, that's terrible that he did that thing to this other person.
Yeah.
You know, so
just
that's
because
like,
you based it on his reaction without seeing the other side of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like very good movie for like, you know, putting egg on the face of viewers like myself.
So he goes out to the bar with his friend, and his friend is like, okay, tell me what happened. And the phrase that he uses is that the co-star took some convincing, and that she started saying no, but by the end of it she wasn't, which gross, but that is like a very specific kind of I think they use, the people on the phone use the term sexually aggressive with him. But again, we'll talk. There's several different kinds of scummy men in this movie. He is one of them, and so I noticed this right away when he's in the basement. Like the first time Tess sees the room with the mattress, she is horrified, but AJ doesn't even give it a second glance. He does not see anything strange with this room at all.
It isn't until he like later when he's measuring it and he like sits on the mattress and it's disgusting. Yeah, which is again like maybe because I'm like, you know, very sensitive to like filthy places and things like that. Like I would be like retching if I saw. You know, I mean, not even just understanding the like context of like, oh, this was what this room was. You know, like even before that, I would be like, oh my god, what the fuck? Yeah. And it just made me think of like in my own apartment, in the basement section of it, which is where all the laundry is. So it's always scary going down and doing laundry because it's in like this disgusting basement area. And in the back wall near like the energy and gas meters, there's just a whole wall of like clippings from like 9/11
What?
and like pictures of Osama bin Laden.
What
I
the
swear to
hell?
fucking God that this is real. I will send you a picture right
I'll
now
need
that
some
I
evidence
took
of that.
of this. Hold on. I don't know if we'll share this to the listeners if they're curious about this or not, but like, I'm sending it to you right
Okay.
now. That this is just like
Oh my
plastered
God.
all over the wall in the basement of the apartment that I live.
Yeah, no,
So
Wyatt's not bullshitting y'all. This is crazy.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's your fuck.
It's
You have the thing from this movie living in your basement, Wyatt.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it struck a chord with me because there are times like in the middle of the night where I go down there and I just it's like and it's right next to a locked door that you can't get into. Like and there's like a
Oh,
little room that always has a light on. Like you can see the
in
light
the
in the
corner.
room, but you
Yeah.
can't get into the room. So it's like it's
That's
very
that
creepy.
is
Just
very
saying.
creepy.
It's just I usually try to do my laundry in like the middle of the day because going down there at night is very scary. Um,
So let's see. So AJ is continuing to explore the sub basement. He comes across a room with a blanket on the floor, and there's a CRT TV playing like a breastfeeding like instructional video.
mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
then the I don't know if they ever named the woman. I just called her mother. Uh,
Yeah, that's what it says on Wikipedia is that it's
okay.
the mother.
Yeah.
So
So the mother bursts in, chases AJ until he falls into a cage with Tess, and she like shushes him, and then the movie cuts to black
I was
again.
so happy. I
Hmm.
was so happy that she was still alive
Yeah, me too.
because I think like she was a great, very relatable
Mhm.
protagonist. And I was like, as soon as like her section of the movie ended so graphically with Keith getting his fucking skull bashed into the wall, I was like, oh, she is totally dead. And then
Yeah.
following like this new guy, and then yeah, it cuts to like another vignette, like another different part, and as soon as it was like the fucking I was like, oh, it's the 80s. Like it's like the early 80s. And then the guy gets into his car and there's like President Reagan. I'm like, okay, I get it.
The neighborhood
Austerity.
the neighborhood is beautiful. It's like
Mm-hmm.
green lawns, white picket fences. There's a moment where one of his neighbors walks up to this guy and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're moving out," and I think a lot of the other neighbors are too. Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
this guy, his name is Frank. He is played by an actor named Richard Brake. He
Mm-hmm.
was in Mandy, the Nicolas Cage movie. He was in
Yes.
Tremors Part 7, Shrieker Island.
Oh God.
And he is a frequent collaborator with Rob Zombie. Now, do
Ooh.
you remember Wyatt in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the iconic scene where they're
Mm.
transporting Michael's body in the beginning, and the two guys are driving the van, and then out of fucking nowhere, a cow is just in the middle of the road and they plow into it?
Yes.
He was one of
Yeah.
those two drivers.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
That's funny. I'm also looking. He was in the Munsters. Remember how
oh, yeah.
like Rob Zombie did a Munsters movie that looked like a YouTube, like looked like a Channel Awesome movie. Like it like was just shot and lit very weird. It
That's what
like
the
looked
Munsters
like
looks like, though. The Munsters was a cheap, terrible TV show.
that's okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that it's a bad movie because of that. I'm just
I
saying
haven't seen
like
it.
I remember seeing the trailer and being like, what the fuck is going
Does it
on
look
with
like this? Yeah.
the like yeah.
So, so Frank he goes to the store and he picks up plastic sheets, baby stuff, and then the worker gives him like a "Your Baby and Me" VHS, and I'm like, oh, that's the thing that was
Mm,
on the TV. Um,
yeah.
he spies on a lady getting into a blue car, and then there's a match cut where he's in a different location and he's still looking at the blue car. He's like outside of her home. Uh,
Mm,
he
mm-hmm.
gets out of her house and he puts on like a blue like jumpsuit, uh,
Yeah.
which says Carlos on it. I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So this guy Frank is like the final evolution. He is like the platonic like worst case scenario of like a rapist. He's like the
Yes.
an even worse version of like the kind of person that AJ could become, basically.
Yes, because the first guy, Keith, again, he's just like an awkward, weird dude that you're unsure about. Like he's the unknown, and that's what's scary. And then AJ, like he's like the guy that's like very charismatic and friendly and has a lot of energy, but has like a dark underbelly to him. And then serial killer is the the guy who like is calm and doesn't bother anybody and keeps to himself, but is like tries to be like, he's not like the friendliest guy. He's pretty like curt with his like when he goes to the shop, but he's like, nobody would think twice about him. He's just a guy, and then not only is he stalking a woman, but we start to like put together like, oh, that room with the bed and the camera is like a sex dungeon where he films his crimes. And then later,
so he breaks into this woman's house. He like pretends that he's like with like the power company. While he's in there, he goes up to the bathroom, turns the sink on, and then unlocks the window to like give himself away to get into the house later. Again, that's so fucking scary. So after Frank is introduced, the movie then jumps back to Tess and AJ in the cage. It's so gross. The mother like lowers in this giant baby bottle with her hair hanging off of the nipple, and Tess is like, she just wants you to be your baby. So gross.
I think that like you mentioning that this guy was like whitest kids there is some like dark comedy to that moment, and like her just being like, drink from the fucking bottle, like her just being like, just follow just do this insane thing. It's just, I was like kind of laughing at that because it was like disgusting, but it was also like she has been put through this for like multiple weeks at this point, so she's just sort of like, look, don't fuck this up, we could both get killed by this thing.
So AJ refuses, and then opens up the little grate that's keeping him in and yanks AJ out. Tess is able to climb out, and she's able to escape. Meanwhile, AJ is forcibly breastfed from the mother, drinking right from the tap, and it's so nasty. The prosthetic titties, it's so good. She's saved by, I think it's the same homeless person from earlier. It could be a different one because we never see his face. So I'm just going to assume it's the same one. Meanwhile, I think AJ is able to get away because I think the mother is
because she's chasing
after Tess.
She chases Tess. So he has the opportunity to escape, and he again like this is such an elaborate, insane underground area.
There's so many rooms.
Like this guy must have had like the power of the 80s economy to be able to build this insane like compound beneath his house.
So speaking of him, AJ finds a very elderly Frank in a bed with a TV pointed at him, and there's a shelf. We'll come back to that because meanwhile Tess is trying to get the police to help her, but because she's been held captive for so long, she's all dirty and gross. They just assume that's where my intro line comes from. They just assume she's like a homeless drug user. So she says, "I'm not a crackhead." I just love that line. Anytime somebody can say crackhead in a movie, it's a good time.
Yeah, that's good. It's also like, maybe, I don't know. It's weird to give this credit to like a white director, but it's like interesting that you have like, oh, here's a black woman, lighter skinned, scared of a darker skinned black man, running at her earlier in the movie. And then eventually she realizes that he's harmless. Yes. But she's still like kind of caught between, she's like in that zone of like, oh yes, I'm afraid for my life for these reasons, but like these other reasons, I'm not quite aware of, or I'm not as aware of. So like when she goes to the police and realizes that like, oh, they don't go to that neighborhood and they don't trust people from that neighborhood or things from there.
Even like
it's like yeah, the racism of the police department suddenly like sets in, even though the like one of the police officers is black as well. Like it's just like par
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
course, you know.
Even like her
Uh,
when she goes to her job interview earlier, and she tells the person that she's staying at a an Airbnb in that area, that person's like, "You really should not be staying there."
yeah,
Uh,
and yeah, and I doubt they know that there's a monster that's living in subterranean tunnels.
no, yeah.
It's just about like, oh, that's a sketchy part of town. You know, stay away from there.
So meanwhile, one of the sickest parts of the movie, and I paused it for this because AJ is looking at rows and rows of tapes on this bookshelf in Frank's room, and it says things like "redhead," "homeless," "wouldn't stop crying," and so it's like, oh, these are all of his victims, and then the very last one, it says "suicide." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Frank is like gesturing towards something. AJ's like, I don't know what you want here. I'll just give you this thing. Um, it turns out to be a gun. Oh, also, skimming over this. So AJ is like very disgusted and angry when he realizes what these tapes are.
Yeah.
So like even someone like him, he was so repulsed by Frank. But I just thought,
which is a pretty interesting
the character
like, thing
moment.
to be like because he has that cognitive dissonance. He doesn't understand that he is, you know, taking part in a similar like
Similar behavior,
abusing women in a specific way. Like obviously this guy is a serial killer, so we can assume because you know we learn that's this. I mean, I guess we'll get into that later. But like, yeah, we can assume that the people that he captures are not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, or like killed for whatever reason or disposed of.
Yeah, there was there was like multiple cages in one room, like large cages with like dog bowls in them. Anyway, so Frank is gesturing for something in a drawer. AJ just moves the whole nightstand next to him, and Frank pulls out a gun and kills himself. And one thing I noticed right away, and this happens later, is the shot or the sound effect that they use for gunshots is like very realistic. It's not like a movie like it's like just like a pop sound effect, which that's what guns sound like. Yeah. So the mother attacks Tess while she's trying to get in her car because she breaks back into the house to get her keys and leave. The mother attacks her. She runs her over. Then she tries to go down to rescue AJ, and then AJ accidentally shoots Tess, and that was another like fuck, god damn it, like moment, like holy shit.
yeah. I was like, oh no, like I mean, I immediately was like, there's no way he's not gonna shoot her like during this scene because he has the fucking gun. He is leaving. He has no reason to assume that the mother is gone or Tess is coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so like, oh, sorry, hit my microphone. But yeah, it's like, you know, as much of a fuckboy as he is, I can't really blame him for being so on edge because of the situation that he's in.
So, she is still alive though. I think she got shot like in her gut, on her stomach.
Yeah, like on the side.
So they head to a water tower that. I did mention the homeless person that helped Tess escape. Okay.
Yeah.
So he mentions that he stays by a water tower. So they go there, and he's talking to him about the history, and they ask like, how the hell, what is that thing down there? And he says, well, you know, he took women down there, and then he started having babies with them, and then he started having babies with the babies. So it's just a series of like exponential inbreeding that leads to that creature. There's another. It was horrifying, but also a great comedy moment. Is they ask, "How do you know that you're safe here?" And he says, "I've been here 15 years, and she's never set foot in this motherfucker." Instantly, she bursts into the fucking wall, bursts into the room. Yep. She grabs the homeless person and rips off his fucking arm and starts beating him with it. Yeah. It's insane.
It is kind of sad because I'm like, yeah, that guy seemed like he was cool.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with like earlier in the movie with Keith, where it's like, yeah, he's a weird guy, but he did not deserve to get his head caved in.
Not at all.
And exploded. but yeah, this is like the final set piece of the movie.
Yeah, so as soon as the mother bursts in, AJ, who had been trying to present himself as like being caring about Tess, he just fucking turns tail and runs immediately.
Mm.
They're both climbing up the water tower. Um, Tess is like, "Wait for me." Um, I oh god, I'm so sorry for this joke that I'm about to
Yeah.
make. A
Uh-huh.
rapist on a water tower. What is this? That '70s show? Wah, 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 wah. Um,
I'll be here all week.
uh, uh, Somehow AJ drops the gun, and then I went fuck, and then at the same exact moment he also went fuck in the same way that I said
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
um, so they're both at the top of the tower. The mother is climbing up it, and he's like, "She's after you. I'm probably gonna make it, but I'm gonna need you to slow her down." So he like grabs her by the shoulders. He's like, "Hey, here's your baby," and he throws her over the side of the fucking water tower. This poor woman
Mm.
cannot catch a break. Um,
Yeah.
um, the mother leaps after her like she's Spider-Man. It's like similar shot of her
Yeah.
falling down. Um, Somehow Tess lands on top of the mother, who like, I guess was shielding her.
Yeah. I'm assuming that she like grabbed and then turned,
Yeah.
like, and then
Mhm.
her body like shielded her from the impact.
Yeah. She's still alive, thank God. Um, AJ comes down one final time to be like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I had to do it to him." Then the mother leaps up. She Oh, it was so gross because she has these really long, pointy
Yeah.
thumbnails, and she's digging them into his eyes, and it's not like blood; it's like the liquefied whites of the eyeball is coming out. It looks like
Yeah.
applesauce.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
she rips his head in half vertically. It was great
That's
death.
pretty sick.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mother kind of turns to Tess, and she's like trying to caress her. And it's kind of this moment that like Tess realizes like, oh, so she has sympathy for the mother because it wasn't her fault that she was born like this. She didn't ask for any of this. She's just doing what
Yeah.
she knows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Like any good horror movie
yeah.
that has a monster,
Hmm.
you need sympathy. There needs to be some level of like sympathy for the monster. Like, its existence is like a tragedy
Yeah.
to some degree.
Hmm.
You know.
So Tess puts the gun up to the mother's cheek and shoots, and then it immediately cuts to the directed by Zach Kreger shot. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but I really liked it because it's like a credit and then another shot, and then credit and another shot, and it's just
Mm.
Tess kind of getting up and leaving essentially. Um, yeah, and that's kind of it. She
Yeah.
leaves. It's a shame that she was down there for 2 weeks because it seemed like she was really excited for the new job that she got.
Yeah. I don't know if she can call them and be like,
You're never
yeah.
gonna believe what
Let's,
happened.
yeah.
Hmm.
Be fair, when I recently applied to get like a second job, like a weekend job, like a couple months
Oh
ago
God. Hmm.
at 7-Eleven,
Hmm.
and they're immediately like, "All right, you got it, great, come on, we'll give you a call and you'll come in and you'll do your training in the first day and whatever." A week passes, no call from them, so I assume like, okay, I guess maybe they're still like processing me or something, and I still have to do the stuff on like this app to like sign all this paperwork and do background checks and all that.
Hmm.
And then like the next week, I call because I'm like, okay, well, I said I was going to work on the weekends. It's the weekend now. I better call to make sure I'm going to actually work this weekend. And then they said, oh yeah, we fired you because you didn't show up and they never told me to come in. They never scheduled me any day. But then like a month later, I got one paycheck for one day
How much was
of
it?
working there. So it was $50. So
Wow.
yeah.
But
But anyway, yeah.
yes.
So I was just thinking of that of like, I wonder if she can call and will they be understanding?
Hmm.
Because I called them and the lady I talked to was like, oh, that is ridiculous. I'll talk to the manager. Maybe she can get it sorted out. Nothing ever came of that.
Hmm.
It's been like 3 months and,
Jeez.
no further news. But just like, whatever. But yeah, so
that was Barbarian.
That's a movie. Yeah, that's a movie. Very entertaining movie. A great first watch. A lot of really creepy moments, and pretty entertaining characters. Even a bad person like AJ was pretty entertaining.
It managed to take some of the grossest, nastiest subject matter and turn it into a way where it's very watchable. The themes are all very well layered out. I didn't even touch on this really quick. So it seems like Tess has recently just got out of a relationship. We're never told any details about it. That's just another dude that did her wrong, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's another and I feel like it's really good that she ends up being the one that lives in the end. Because she's gone through so much shit and she's been trampled, and this is about a world that even the mother, the monster of the movie, is another in a long line of women who have been abused by this guy. But she's just kind of the final one and the most the apotheosis of it. Yeah. Essentially, of here's this person who is become a cave troll. Essentially, it's down in the basement and everything, and it's adapted to that and has these things about him that seem horrific and creepy, but again, just they're only this way because of this man.
Have you ever seen?
There's a lot. Have
you ever seen the movie Wreck?
Yes.
The mother looks like the lady at the end of that movie. I was reminded of that.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. There was a couple things, similar things. That kind of weird, saggy body, and then the long
the limbs, the stringy hair.
Yeah.
Well, Wyatt, let me ask you this: what are we going to be watching next time?
All right, I've thought of a couple things that I wanted to do, and like I said, we're going to kind of go between old favorites that I've seen or that we've both seen, and ones that maybe one of us hasn't seen, and introducing them to you. I think I'll try. I want to pick something that you probably haven't seen. Okay. Though I don't know for sure. And that's the original Ring. Okay. So. All right. Not the what's his face movie, not the 2003. Yes, Ringu as it's called in America, but it is just Ring, and that's just the transliteration of it.
I'm very down.
But yes. So. Going to be talking about that, the 1998 movie Ring. That will be our next episode on this. Again, I don't know if we're going to put this on your channel.
I would love that. I assume that would be cool.
Yeah. So if you want to follow Cody, they're here.
Yeah, this is my channel.
There you go. Yeah, and other social media places.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter. I don't know how long I'm going to be on there, but the name on there is Gay Boomhauer. You can find me in several Tubi original movies. I'm in Big Bad CGI Monsters. I'm in Spider Baby. I'm in 1031 Part 4 in one of the shorts. And I have a couple other acting projects coming up that I will be able to talk about when I have more information about it. And where can they find you, Wyatt?
Oh, yeah. Well, go on over to Twitter or Blue Sky, WazRanger, WAZP Ranger. I don't use Twitter too much anymore just because it's really annoying. But and Blue Sky is annoying too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm on there. Stream of consciousness stuff. I post about my Patreon, which is It's Only Magic. My YouTube channel, also called that. If you want to check out Cartoon Buffoons, which is a complete palette change from this, then I post it there a week after I post it on Patreon. So if you want to get them a week early, go on Patreon, $3, great. If you want, if you just want them for free, they'll be a week behind, but they're all on the YouTube channel. Make sure to always post them, the week after they're on Patreon. So go and check that out. Other stuff, Wild Cool Robot, me and Wayne, my friend, going through, doing like 5 to 10 minute episodes in a big batch, just like reviewing every single robot in existence. Any robot you can think of, even the dumbest side character robot you can think of in anything.
Jet alone.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do that. Why not? We'll do we did like Tobor at one point, which is
I don't know what that
robot
is.
Spelled. It's like a sci-fi movie from the 50s, yeah, I don't know. We've done a lot of garbage and a lot of cool stuff. So check that out. But all right, that'll do it. Join us next time for more horror holin', and we'll get on that ring. See you there.
Peace out.